I'm live. I haven't been on this platform in a long time. Hi, guys. It's Laura Volpentesta. If you don't know me, I'm a mom of three, two who are like 18 and 19 now, homeschooling, unschooling mom. I'm a singer and I'm a fashion designer and educator. I teach illustration and art and all the fashion things, draping, patternmaking, blah, blah, blah. Okay, today I'm talking about a homeschooling topic based on a conversation I had with a friend the other day that it won't get out of my mind. Another reason I'm bringing it up is because on my Facebook page, Laura Volpentesta, that's me, I also shared, I came across a Facebook memory. So let's start there. Facebook memory came up, and I had been making I made these earrings. Okay, I had made some other earrings, wire and bead earrings that are in the Facebook post. There's a picture of the earrings, and next to it there's a picture of all these drawings that my daughter did spontaneously of her own earring designs. She used the magic marker to show the wire. My daughter at the time was 7. And all my kids have seen me do a lot of drawing and a lot of making and creating. They see me do music and dance too. All of those things, I see them do too. And from everything I've learned, I know that this is from modeling, meaning they do what they see you do, particularly primary caregivers. I learned this. I trained for and taught Music Together, which is like a mommy and me music and movement program that really changed my life. And probably if I hadn't taught Music Together and trained for Music Together, I wouldn't have ever become a homeschooling/unschooling mom. There are other factors involved for sure, such as my best friend who homeschooled for years. And there's a point I'm getting to today, which is more about the moms, the benefits for moms, than the benefits for kids, for a change, because we're always talking about the kids. But as we get there, I will share everything that wants to come through during this talk. So another thing that led to me homeschooling was not just this training I did that made me so sure about how we learn in early childhood and how we can't not learn, and how naturally curious we are, and how good our instincts are to guide us to learn and go deeper and focus in all the things that we are drawn to. I learned that presenting a buffet is the best way to teach, not to push things down someone's throat from the outside, but to create experiences that the learner comes to. And the beautiful thing about a Mommy and Me program is you're not only learning about early childhood development, and you're not only learning about how primary caregivers influence young minds. We're talking birth to age 6 particularly, which is in fact a very unique time of life where the brain state is different. You can listen to Dr. Bruce Lipton, learn more about that. But, excuse me. But also, we're dealing with adults in the classroom. Thank you for piping in. Please share. I love having conversation. Thank you for being here. I love that you're here. In this Mommy and Me program, I always thought Mommy and Me, what's that? Mommy and Me program is also dealing with adults, caregivers who care about arts, music and movement, family, children, because they're there. Although sometimes it's a nanny or other caregiver but still it's a value that is brought into the classroom. But when we train, we're learning about early childhood development, but we're also learning about, I don't even know if they emphasize this so much, but as you learn how young people learn, you start to think about how you learned when you were young, and you start to question the whole system. And so mothers in this Mommy and Me program are healing. It's an opportunity for healing. Okay, the goosebumps just went all over. So, healing what? we pick up from our primary caregivers what they got most of the time. Don't do that. Don't do it like this. You're doing it wrong. Do it like that. Why aren't you clapping the way? Why aren't you doing what the teacher says? We pass on all those messages that we've got when we were little, but this continues a cycle of trauma for young ones. And the great thing is a lot of these young ones, they won't even hear it. But they hear it. So, big example, I'll just use the most glaring example of all. The beautiful thing in Music Together that I also learned is that we have our classroom in a circle. So you've created a community space. Everyone sees everyone else. All the families are in a circle. Since I learned to experience that format, I use that format in everything I do. It's also, I'm a samba singer, dancer. The roda de samba, the ring where people work in community, is a powerful place. But here's the thing. Parents will be like, why isn't Johnny dancing? Why isn't Sally singing along? Well, you think that just because they're children, whatever that means to you, that they should do that to please you, but you aren't singing. You aren't dancing. And that's what we call the modeling. They're more likely to do it because they've seen you do it. And even if they want to do it, if they notice that you're not, they start to think it's not safe. There's a whole story. There's a whole message going on behind the scenes. And so we need to make that change in ourselves as well, if we're holding back. And that's not with judgment, because I have all the compassion in the world for the million ways we hold back. I mean, that's why my whole life has unfolded the way it has, is overcoming every area of my life where I wanted to feel expressed and I was oppressed or repressed or compressed. All the words you want to use for that. Which brings me to the part that I really would love to talk about, always wanted to talk about, but I'm afraid to talk about these things. One moment. So you think you can see some child who is going to have behavior problems, looking at this question. I'm not sure where to go with that just yet. But I do think that a behavior problem is a call for change. And change in the way we do things. And it's great to ask for help. I have to come back to this, and I would like to. I just want to make sure I make this one point, and this may be very much related to the family relationships. So, I often don't talk about family and birth stuff because people we're all so traumatized in our own different ways on these topics, that the minute someone brings up the topic of how you're going to birth or whether you're going to breastfeed or whether you're going to homeschool or whether you're going to do public school, the minute anyone brings up any one of these topics, everyone gets like super sensitive and thinks that they're being judged, and then the whole conversation falls apart. But the beautiful thing is that these conversations just happen. Everyone makes their own choices. Any mother knows until you're holding that baby in your arms, it's your path. No one can know the path that you walk and the decisions you need to make, the decisions you are called to make, or maybe that you're feeling forced to make. Nobody knows the pressures you deal with. Nobody knows the truth that is written on your heart but you. And I would never judge someone else for any choice they make in their motherhood without knowing them. Well, I still wouldn't judge it, but you know what I mean? If anything, get curious why people make choices they make, rather than shut down, because my choice and her choice and your choice isn't a judgment on anyone else's choice. We should know that by now, right? We know that. And so, final point I wanted to get to is my friend and I were discussing how, kindergarten was created in Germany. I forget what year. I'm not I read a lot of books, but I'm not like a scholar who's memorized facts on this subject. One moment, look at this question, okay? The decision the parents make for their children should not be the decisions of the teachers. Well, that's an interesting, so I don't think there's any should, I guess, but I love that we share our beliefs, right? So maybe it's I believe that blah, blah, blah should, right? And you believe and he believes. So, oi Josh, so happy to see you. We were saying how they keep making, and pre-kindergarten was created in the U.S., and that the message there is to split up the family, or get those kids away from the family. And yes, not every family environment is perfect. Just a moment. I would like to sing you a song, but after we talk, if you could stay. Nice to see you, Jorashi. Really happy to see you. Happy Bon Domingo. The point being, it's not just the kids that get taken from the parents or the family that is loosened, or the child that is taken away from the family, but nobody really talks about the mothers. And in the whole realm of things, in the whole realm of human experience since the beginning of time, and I'm the first person to always say families come in many shapes. No, I know. So I didn't get to talk about, she's saying, I'm just trying to understand what you're saying. And I know I'm not super clear yet because I'm still new talking about these things. I appreciate that you're staying with me. So, yeah. No problem there. Thank you for conversing with me. That perhaps mothers need, and we have, perhaps it's patriarchy, but I think it's much more just this social conditioning. We poo-poo the effect of mothers on children. Smothering, suffocating, whatever, get away from that bitch, it's just like, ooh. But we're so used to it. We're so used to hearing that. It's like twofold. The child can benefit from the presence of the mother, and in the whole life cycle, how a mother can benefit from raising kids, from being around them, not just putting them to bed. And this is not a judgment on anyone, because I know work and the finance and the family and all the pressures, but I'm just saying, imagine living with your kids, working around your kids. Imagine all the neighbors' kids imagine kids not being like tucked away during the day, what the world would even look like. And I only say this so that we don't take for granted the forms that our world has taken. Because we do. It's like, since the beginning of time, kids have been there, and old people have been tucked away there, and moms have been working here, and dads have been working there, and everyone's in their place. But what if you could just loosen that hold a little bit? Yes, I'm not arguing with you. I'm just trying to understand. Exactly, honey. That's exactly why I don't that's exactly the spirit of all this, is that we are all afraid, maybe you're not, I am afraid to have these conversations because people get offended so quickly. I've spent my whole life not speaking my truth, not living my truth, not even getting to hear my truth anymore because I'm so afraid of offending people and so offended by people's what if we all loosened up? And I'm not saying that you have. We are being open right now. It's happening right now. One conversation at a time. And I think live streaming is a beautiful place where that can happen too, where we can share perspectives. I want to know how other people are thinking and looking at and deciding. We are a brotherhood, a sisterhood. We are one. We are all reflections of different aspects of each other. Yes, sure, it's getting that balance right between us. Right? There's always a place where people, I guess it's because we've been raised in such a programming conditioning of otherness. It's me against you. I gotta be right. Gotta be wrong. It's like, I think I'm finally ready to not have to be right anymore. True, but not right. You know? True for me. Doesn't mean it has to be right. And I'm very open to hear other perspectives. So, what would our society look like if we got to, what would a woman's life feel like if we, and I'm not saying women have to have kids. I'm not saying women have to homeschool or unschool. But what if we got to spend time with our kids? We would be learning from them. And so much, I learned this in my doula training, that, for example, a woman in birth, a woman will revisit parts of her life when her kids are in those parts of life. Or a woman who's been traumatized sexually, let's say, that could come up during birth. Like, there are triggers, right? So when you raise little ones, you constantly confronted with your inner child. You're constantly healing and revisiting your youth. But if you don't get that time to do that, that healing is harder to access. And I read this comment. I don't know about you, but I'm in my 40s now. Yes, I'm in my 40s too. Oh no, wait, now. And it was so different then. I know. And in a way, I'd love to hear some examples. For example, what comes to mind when you say it was different then? But yes, even now, like when I want to talk about birth, like I don't know, last time I gave birth was 10 years ago. Hopefully some things have changed. But a lot of things are universal too, and you can only be, do, and live what you have, and that's another piece of this softening where we can have these conversations, because when we're traumatized and scared and insecure, we can't have these conversations. When we start to soften our edges, and the goosebumps come again, and when we start to have so much forgiveness for others and for ourselves. Thank you for the affirmation. That softening happens, then we are able to, wow, the whole world is different. And it's no wonder, and that's what I'm saying, is that sometimes in school, the competition and that right versus wrong and A versus F, sometimes there's this polarity, this whole system set up that, might look different somewhere else. And so the one thing that I wanted to address today, and I tend to meander because I've been holding so much in for so long that all the topics come out at once, is that, okay, when my older kids, before I homeschooled them, I put them in school. And I resisted it. I didn't even think there was another option, but I was not signing them up for kindergarten until the last second. People had to push me into the town hall. My best friend who homeschools and unschools said, Laura, why are you afraid of homeschooling? You've been doing it for 6 years. I was like, oh my God, I have. Well, I was lucky to have a certain kind of a full-time, part-time job. So I would work really hard for 2 days, and then I would be with them the rest of the week. And I'm a single mom, so a stay-at-home single mom. So I got to do this experiment, So I'm going to read this comment. With the age of the internet, kids now don't know any different from what life was like when we were young. It's so funny because a friend I was talking with the other day, he keeps saying that the past keeps getting erased. Is that what you mean? Our kids really have no idea what it was like then, and so on and so on. In many ways, history and then just they can't conceive of life without the technology. It's true. And yet technology has such tremendous archives for us to dive into and explore history beyond any library that we ever had at one time, which also amazes me. But I just want to speak to the moms who, when I put my kids into kindergarten, they did a year and a half of school before I just took them out. And it's not that I hated the school, it's just I knew my life was becoming insane to me, okay? It's becoming insane because everything was disjointed. It's like the kids are there. First, you have to kick them out the door. Shove some food in their mouth and get them out the door and get them to school. And then they have to pick them up and you put them to bed and you work here and they're dating someone there. It's like nothing in my life everything was so disjointed. It's just my nature. And like I said, we all have a different nature. My nature was that I wanted a holistic experience. Yeah, I'm gonna come back to that comment. And when I did take them out of school, my life just became so wow. We can wake up slowly. We can make breakfast, and that can be our sit-down together meal of the day. It always has been. We never had sit-down dinners because I guess as a single mom, it was just so hard to get people to sit down anyway. When I was married, it was even worse because it was like, Dad says sit down, and the 2-year-old does not want to sit down or eat. I digress. Bringing the kids home fulfilled a part of me so profoundly. Living my daily experience as a mother, like I said, there's no definition of what a mother or a woman or any of that has to be. But like following my path and meeting it as it met me brought me a profound satisfaction and many lessons. Well, it means a lot to me because like I said, it says, are you stressed about talking about the subject? And I guess that's how it's going to come across right now when I'm still starting to talk about it more because I'm so used to feeling like people are like, oh, so are you saying that we should all, No. And maybe some part of that comes from being so thankful that I was able to have that experience that I don't know how many people get to have. I'm very, very, very thankful that I got to have that experience. And I remember when the kids were in school that I was like, oh, okay, well, should I get this job or should I get a master's degree? And I just feel like it's part of this whole culture of chase, and it was so nice to have it all come home. It's just very satisfying. It's a very beautiful time of my life, and it's very much past now because those kids are grown up, and my little one, she's like 10 now, she's homeschooled right now, but I have a lot more financial stress and strain and worry and fear, so it feels a bit quite different. Also, she feels more like only child because she doesn't have a sibling. The other two were together. So, yeah, it's interesting that you sense that stress, that I seem stressed talking about it. Maybe I do, probably do, because again, when I talk about birth or nursing or, you talk about sex or dating or money or education, these topics are so people, they stir up our deepest desires and longings and hopes and fears. And those conversations can get really wonky. And I guess I'm finally just stepping out and talking about it. And I really appreciate you being here with me because that just, it's a moment in my journey And I'd love to hear from any of you in the comments below, even if you're catching replay somewhere. Experiences, insights, opinions. And I guess the real message that I took such a winding path to get to is how a woman sometimes can get robbed of this joy. Thank you. Thanks so much. Have a great day. I'm in my 40s too. I will be 47 next week. Virgo in the house. So when with all the talk about all the feminist topics that come up, that's just another one. It's confusing sometimes. Isn't that funny? Does that make you Libra though, right? Are you Libra or Virgo? 2 weeks. You have a birthday in 2 weeks. That is so funny that we came together here. I was going to say that it's just almost like the way they kind of took birth away from mothers. It's like, give her the drugs. And it's okay if you take drugs. I'm saying it became common practice to knock the woman out and take the baby out and then wake her up and hand her the baby. And that's not every woman's dream. Taking birth away from the woman, maybe robbing her of some experiences she really wanted to have. You don't really have that right to take the birth away from the mom. I mean, my memory, every time I gave birth, it was like I climbed this tremendous mountain and got to the other side, and it almost has an addictive quality because it's such a mystical, spiritual, I'm sure actually all births are probably that way anyway, but the thing is, when you take the children away from the moms, and I'm not saying that the moms even have to hover over the kids, but the mother becomes displaced, let's put it that way. We can feel very displaced. On the one hand, we get our freedom. Is it a freedom? Well, yes, we have the freedom to work, we have the freedom to go to school, we have the freedom to get pedicures or whatever. And there's also a freedom that's called being around your children more. That's one of the options too, but it doesn't get spoken about that much. And it's not seen as a freedom, it's seen as some kind of an enslavement. But we can think of our jobs that way, we can think of our schooling that way. It's all how you look at things. And I'm just here today to say to someone who probably needs to hear it, who's thinking about homeschooling and having some doubts, wondering, I think you are enough. The message, I think, with schooling can be, you are not enough. And your kid is not enough. So your kid has to pass all these hoops to be enough, and they're never going to really be good enough. There's always going to be someone better. And no, you're enough. They're enough. We're all motivated, intelligent, contributing human beings by nature. I can't not have that belief. That's just, I guess, the way I was built. We want to help. We want to contribute. We want to be part of something. We want to develop and use our gifts. We're curious. We are motivated. We are focused. And I feel like in school I was often taught that we weren't, that we had to be coerced or pushed or put in a line to do it. And I think, and again, yeah, it stresses me out to have this conversation and think that some people are going to think that I think what anyone else does is right or wrong. And I guess that's how triggers work. And I can't control how other people are going to respond. But that's not my message here. It's simply I love to try on other ways of looking at certain things. And I just want to speak to that part of the mother's heart that knows she has so much to offer her kids, and that her kids have so much to offer her, and that I need to read that. step back in 1 second. Everyone finds their balance in that arena. And believe me, it's wrought with insecurity, uncertainty at many, many points along the way. Am I doing it right? Of course, it's so humbling to be a parent. It's such a, what? I don't know. But in that sense, we are still all in it together, because we are all like, oh my God, it's like this roller coaster ride that we are all on. So I just want you to know that I believe the most important lessons you learn are love. The most important lessons you learn are who you think you are in the world, what you believe about the world. And those lessons aren't embedded in math, science, social studies. They kind of are. Social studies and science actually do contain whole worldviews of how the world looks and how the world works. And so in that sense, it's not just science and social studies. It's kind of like faith, the religion, worldview, paradigm. Don't take that for granted. And the lessons of who we are, no one's going to teach it perfect, right? How many of us learn from our parents' beliefs about ourselves that we're trying to unlearn? But a parent in the company of their child is very much prompted to heal a lot of those things, because it's like they're looking at their own rejected or accepted self and forced to relate to it. Okay, I'm going to read these comments. Well, your children are everything in life, but remember, it's yourself you need to put first. Yes. Yet another lesson. And it's funny how that all ties up into a perfect circle. I'm thinking of an image I saw yesterday of a snake eating its own tail. I feel that when I homeschooled my kids, I often got to let them put themselves first. I think that's something you can learn early in life and carry on. In my whole entire life, I never put myself first. I was always told wait and get permission and be quiet and stand over there and be a good girl. And so by the time I had kids, how did I know? How would I ever know how to put myself first? And so I had to learn that so many hard ways. Still learning it, honestly, in my 40s. So I finally let that down enough, finally let go enough to start hearing my own voice in a deeper way. So in a way, raising the kids I was able to treat them the way I wish I had been treated in a way. But then as they grew, and now I'm in my 40s, and so many things change inside you at this age in such a beautiful way, I'm realizing, wow, I was so cut off for so much of my life through authorities, me personally, church, school, parents, society, whatever, to be really cut off from trusting my own knowing, hearing, using, feeling, expressing my own knowing in so many ways. And I wonder if that's just me or if that's a very prevalent and systematic construct. The most important words in my life are that it goes on. And that's it. And that brings us back to forgiveness. Which is it's a difficult word to throw around, because what forgiveness means to me now is completely different than what forgiveness meant for me my whole life. From studying A Course in Miracles, they say forgiveness isn't something you bestow upon someone who's done something wrong and you're holier than thou. Forgiveness is just that release, that love, that acceptance of all. Did you read my last comment? You said that life goes on. Is that the one? That it goes on. And to me, Forgiveness is that life goes on. Life goes on. Here we are now. Now, all the pure potential is in the present moment. And that's it. It's all okay. Life goes on unless we stay in some pain from the past that we carry every day, which we often unconsciously do. But life goes on is a great way to say it, my friend. Wait, let me just see it. I want to call you by name, but I didn't get to see your name. I know it begins with a J. John. Life goes on. And the better it gets, the better it gets. So let's go get it. Thanks for being with me today in this conversation. I hope I got to say what I wanted to say. Bottom line message for today was that let's not rob moms of their opportunity to, that I don't feel like there's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of discussion about how to raise your kids and how kids are affected by technology, which is something you talked about that I didn't address, and things, but not so much talking about how mothers and parents are taught by their children that tremendous potential that is there in or out of school. I think we can talk again in the future. Bye. Take care. Thanks, John. I thought of one more thing when we said that. I wonder if I'm going to remember. Before I close out, I just want to see if this thought comes back. What we learn from our kids. Was that it? I know I'll remember as soon as I hang up. That's what I'm going to try for one more second. I know there's a few of you there, so feel free to pipe in. What do we learn from our kids? How does the act of parenting develop us? I think I'm going to talk about a question that John had about technology. It's an interesting line with technology, because if technology is part of their world now, again, and if they are drawn to it, I don't want to, again, that's bad. Your desire is wrong. Your instincts and what you think you want is not good. I don't want that. I want them to trust their curiosity. Also, as a parent, I can guide them with critical thinking. This is what I think. This is what could happen. This is what people say, blah, blah, blah. At the same time, let them learn to master the tools of the world they are growing up in. That's a crazy story, because my own son, who was homeschooled, started using the computer to make little movies, and then I didn't even know he was like uploading them to YouTube. And then when I lost my job, when I had the youngest baby, we realized that he had like a massive YouTube following. He was like 10. And here I've just lost my income. Let them be the masters of their own destiny. Yeah, one of my favorite quotes I saw someplace was just like, you gotta know your kids have their own God. They have their guardian angel. They are, that's a big thing with parents, is we're like, oh my God, how can I be God for this kid? You aren't. Your mom, your dad, maybe you're not, but you don't have to be God. It's great that you want to do your best, and be sure that the divine source is using you to be there, to put on their path in every way. Even your mistakes become part of their path, their unique, intentional path to enlightenment, learning, love, development, growth. When we don't resist what is, we accept, then life goes on. If we're fighting it every step of the way, I think most of us, we all know what that feels like too. And we also know how effective we are at changing things through resistance. It's amazing how much change happens through acceptance. When we stop being right and stop controlling everything. Hey, well, let me follow you. I think we can have a more in-depth conversation. Absolutely. Absolutely. Of course. That's what this is about. This conversation means a lot to me. Oh, and so wouldn't you know, as a miracle, when I was when my income was like decimated and I had 3 kids and I was a single mom, my son's YouTube channel started bringing in money, and he wasn't doing it for money. He was doing it for fun. The intention was never that money would come. And now he's an 18-year-old entrepreneur with his own channel. Like, can you make this stuff up? And okay, final message, I promise. I know if you have to go, don't worry. Final message regarding homeschooling, unschooling, technology, entrepreneurship. Technology is that that's okay. What difference? I didn't notice that you were treating me differently because I was a single mom. It's okay. Yeah, I was a single mom for 15 years. Still am. 15 years. About video games. My son got really into them. Like, we didn't even have TV for a long time, but the video games got in somehow. I guess we had a computer, games. Okay, and then he got really into the games, and every single time that I started to say, that's it, it's too much, it's bad, because everyone's talking like that all the time. I will tell you in just a minute. It says, what happens to your marriage? It just fell apart. Yeah, I was a 6-year marriage with alcoholic. And didn't just fall apart. There were a whole lot of like crises moments. And then I finally just reached a moment where I knew that I just couldn't. And I think it's because kids are in the mix, you can't put up with things you could put up with before. So much was I out of touch with my own voice from the way I grew up that I walked right into a relationship like that. Do you know what I mean? Big life lessons. No, it's okay. Here I am. It's all part of my path, right? I don't know why. It's things we got to learn. So my son, every time I wanted to kick him off the video games, I'd be like, okay, that's it. I'm going to get rid of the computer, blah, blah, blah. The very next day, it would be like he would have drawn like 100 pictures of every character from the game. Or he would have taken his clay and made like a whole world of the characters from the game. And I get, like, every time, right on time. I think it was, spirit saying, no. He wasn't passively just sitting there being played by a game. He was playing a game. He was in a joyous, relaxed flow state, imagination engaged. And when he wasn't playing the game, he was creating a whole world based on the game. That's not so bad. It's like if this game, I got those goosebumps again, creates creative output, then how could that be so bad? I'm going to read this comment right here. Alcoholism is becoming an addiction in American society, same as drugs. Absolutely. I mean, alcohol is the legal drug, right? Just like the opioids and, well, I guess now marijuana too. The legal drug. So it's funny because, all the cute commercials of people playing volleyball and walking on the beach and all the people posting their drinks on social media. And, oh, look at this pretty cocktail. They are pretty sometimes, but like if you've lived with alcoholism, it's almost like a trigger fest seeing all those pictures. You're just like, it's as tasty or pretty or occasionally fun as it might be, the cost of alcohol on families and society is so heavy. And if you don't know, you don't know. But if you do know, it destroys families. It destroys communities. It leads to all kinds of physical abuse of other. It's just, I didn't get physical abuse with alcohol, but like alcohol is heavy. It's a behavioral disease. Like I found out after, because I didn't know that there was alcoholism in my family line. And so wouldn't you know, I married an alcoholic and then discovered, all the things that we keep secret and tucked under the carpet are the things that are in the shadow need to come out, because then nothing is in the shadow. The truth will set you free. Well, nobody told me. It's one nobody talked about. One of those things nobody talked about. And so it had to come out in my life so that I could get through it and past it. And joining al-anon was a really powerful turning point in my life. That whole life had become unmanageable, and that I don't know. Being in a room with people who are just openly sharing about their lives without back talk, and just realizing, I'll tell you what. Anyway, I think you're so strong and great to talk to, so honest, and I respect that. Thank you. I feel that respect. I feel your presence. I really appreciate it. John. One of the biggest things I learned in the alcoholic situation is that when you become involved with someone like that, and this happens all the time, because you could have a friend who almost dies of alcohol. I've seen this happen many times through friendships and stuff. The thing is, first you notice there's a problem, and then you become focused on that person, and that person has a problem, and that person's problem. And the fact is, the whole thing just got out of whack, because you need to bring it back to yourself. Not that now you have a problem. So it's not about fixing them. That's outside. You can't control that. You cannot control an alcoholic. You cannot control an alcoholic. But you can change yourself in the relationship. You can change yourself in how you react, what you allow. As they say, right, the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And then you have decisions to make, but it's just amazing. The whole dance of alcoholism that I have observed is always that everyone around the alcoholic becomes focused on the alcoholic's problem. And you really can't stay there very long. The alcoholic's problem, everyone becomes focused on how they're going to fix it. It's all they talk about. No. You need self-care now. You, the people around the alcoholic, need the help more than anything. How do you process? How do you have a support system in dealing with this thing that you can't fix? So yeah, you can try to support that person to a certain extent, but in that path, 99% of the time, the people around the alcoholic have lost themselves because they're focused there. When you're in someone else's business, you are no longer there for yourself. You have abandoned yourself. And this is what happens around alcoholics. Everyone around them abandons themselves and then has to claim it back. It's a whole journey, but I guess I'm really thankful for that cracking open, because my whole life is unlearning and cracking open. Here we are. So that was a whole other topic. I really appreciate that you asked me about it, because that's another thing that I don't talk about that I want. Sometimes I'm like, gosh, if I have this social media and I'm just teaching drawing all the time, there's so much more that means so much to me that I want to say. And truly what I've witnessed with alcohol is like, and I know I'm not alone. There's no walk in the park. Oh Lord, I have a million and one things to do. Just be very as the stranger you talk wants to talk to. Of course, no, Diane. I know how it is. Live streams like that, John. No worries. You can go, and I'm gonna go too. Wait, no, Tamiko's here. I have to say hi. Bye, John. Thank you. Tamiko, how are ya? Oh my gosh, I can't see, I haven't used Periscope in a long time. It's like I don't see the, how long, it doesn't tell me how long the broadcast has been. Bye, wait, who is that? Just a second. I didn't see, yeah, John, okay, that's John. Bye. We had a long talk about like school and technology and then alcohol. It's like very interesting. I'm good. How's your daughter? How's your art? Do you live stream here? I gotta put my, I had taken off Periscope because I was getting too many notifications. Oh. Yeah, and the main gist that I wanted to get to, like I talked about a lot of things on my way to it, was that people always talk about the effect of education on kids and the effect of parents on kids. No, I wish you would. Your art is so mystical and divine and magical. You should do a card deck, my friend. We should talk about that. Oh, I think you missed what I just said. Tamiko, you should make a card deck with your mystical, magical art. And I will help you. You just DM me on Insta, okay? Okay, because I saw you leave and come back. But you don't hear a lot of talking about how children, and as few do, how children develop us. Thank you. How, they're there for a reason, and how much we grow through knowing them. Oh my gosh, I just realized I moved all my furniture because I'm getting a new floor in, and I just realized there's like this big ugly old mattress up against the wall. Oh, it's always something. Real life. Yeah, I just feel like there's not a lot of talk about it. It's usually more about like, how can I get free? Parenting's really challenging, but you purposely can't, because now I put my shoulder there on purpose. Ta-da! Yeah, I didn't know it was a mattress either until a minute ago. Yeah. So, just a moment to think about that. Oh my gosh. It's just like being on a roller coaster. So, can I sing you something before we go? What should I live stream about? Or maybe I should do a drawing thing. But I wish you would do one too, Tamiko. Let me think. Oh, I'm going to do something about mothers and children, yeah? Definitely. Something about a mother and a child. Crescendo foi caminhando espaço, pulo do meu braço, nasceu outro dia, já caí pro chão. Já fala mãe, já fala pai, não suja mais a cama, não queima chupeta, já come feijão. Posso ver até meu traço no primeiro passo, tropeço seguro, não deixo cair. Se cai, levanta com o vento no ar, a porta da rua fechada, a criança não deixa sair da linha. Reflexo no espelho levou a emoção. Uma lágrima ameaça do olho cair. Semente fecundou, já começa a resistir. É criatura e criador. Cuida de quem me cuidou, pega na minha mão e guia. É cria, criatura e criador, cuida de quem me cuidou, pega na minha mão e guia, e guia, e guia. It says, it creation, a creator and the created. Please take care of the one who took care of me. Take my hand and guide me. Isn't that beautiful? É criatura e criador. Cuida de quem me cuidou. Pega na minha mão e guia. It's a prayer. I love you. I'll see you on Insta. I gotta go because this was super long. I miss you. I love you. Ciao, ciao. Bye. How do I do this? I don't remember.